on AM 560, The Answer.
From the Matrix Home Solutions studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560, The Answer, online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Joe Biden in the first Joe Obama term, in reaction to the bailouts post 2008-2009 Great Recession, infamously said we need to keep spending money to prevent from going bankrupt. Joe Obama's third term, which is at present, you have the same Joe Biden saying we need to spend $2 trillion in order to get America back to work. Well, it turns out the government spending in 2021 had the same anti-stimulative effect as the spending in 2009, 2010, or it will if this is codified into law. Study that was done by our friend Steve Moore and our other friend, University of Chicago economist Casey Mulligan, who I spoke with yesterday, actually. Really, really interesting. Just listen to this. I'll let Steve go over the top-line data here, but this is so fascinating. Disincentives to work. How big are they? In Kansas, a family of four with two unemployed adults who had earned U.S. median wages, so say 55 grand.
All right.
A family of four with two unemployed adults who had earned U.S. median wages could get paid.
I'm ready.
Including the Biden add-on package, the after-tax equivalent of more than $135,000 on an annual basis without working an hour. In Massachusetts, where state unemployment benefits are the highest in the nation, the figure is $170,000. And that does not include any housing or rental assistance the family may also receive. The Biden package of benefits would exceed the wages and salaries of at least 85% of households, and they call that getting America back to work. Getting America on the dole for a little bit longer. It is not only anti-stimulative, it is pro-dependency, which is even worse. Because the longer you extend it, the more people get accustomed to it, don't they?
And they're buying Democratic votes.
That too.
In a sense.
For more on this, we're happy to talk to the lesser of the two who cobbled together this study. Steve Moore, Wall Street Journal columnist, economist, and Trumponomics author. I'm sure you would say that the same thing, Steve. Casey Mulligan is the real intellect here. You're the pretty face, and he's the guy who does all the green eye shades work.
It was my idea to do this study, and Casey, who really is amazing. He's one of the best economists in the country, really, chugged the numbers, and we were astounded. I asked him, let's figure out how much a person could get, in terms of all these benefits. Just so people know, people get normal unemployment benefits. By the way, I'm in favor of normal unemployment benefits. If people lose their job, especially in a pandemic, you don't want people to go hungry. We don't people lose their homes and things like that. You provide them unemployment benefits, which are meant to give people an incentive to get back on the job and help them, when they lose their job. So I said, so we've been the normal unemployment benefits, plus $400 a week additional benefits. By the way, if you have two spouses and both of them are unemployed, so you double up, right? So it's times two. Then they have a rental assistance and mortgage insurance if you can't make your, meet your housing needs, your mortgage payments, your rental. Then they have expanded food stamps. And then if you read the Wall Street Journal last week, you know that they're now expanding Obamacare subsidies. You can be making over $200,000 a year and get Obamacare subsidies. Did you know that one, Dan?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yeah. So you add all this stuff up, and it turns out, and when I asked Casey to run the numbers, I thought, people could even make $50,000, $60,000, right? And that was a lot of money for not working. No, I was completely wrong. Not 50 to 60. You have in some states, and I bet in Illinois this is true. We haven't checked the Illinois numbers, but I don't think they're too far from where Massachusetts is. You could actually have a couple on unemployment insurance and all the other benefits getting $150,000 a year for not working. I mean, is that insanity? And how are you going to get people back? What's going to happen here? Mark my words. You heard it first on the Dan and Amy show. In 3 months, we're going to have the economy is going to be booming. Once we get the vaccine out there, we're going to see the biggest recovery you ever saw. You're going to have businesses reopening. You know what problem they're going to have? They're not going to be able to get the workers back on the job.
Well, don't you think this is? Yeah. Well, don't you think this is why we have COVID enthusiasts? I mean, look, I can stay masked up and pretend like I'm scared of this virus. Yeah. You know, just like kids that could go back to school claim that they're fearful of the virus. No, they want to stay home and cheat on their homework, and they don't want to interact with teachers they don't like, and they don't have to get ready for school. They can click in and roll back over. I mean, it's this whole charade, this kabuki theater that's going on, and I just think it's not going to. So after this 1.9 trillion, we're going to have another one too after this.
Now they want to do another $1 trillion quote infrastructure bill. I mean, we could end up borrowing $5 trillion this year. But I want to make a point about what you just said about schools. So I did a whirlwind tour last week. I went to about 4 or 5 red states. And I think a lot of times when you're living in, like I live in the Washington, D.C. area, we're shut down. You guys live in Chicago area, you're shut down. So you feel like, oh, that must be the way the whole world is, right? With schools closed down and stores closed down and all sorts of restrictions on going to restaurants and things like that. I went to Texas, I went to North Carolina, I went to Arizona, and I went to Nebraska. Those states are open. I mean, it's normal. It's normal there. And I was really struck by this yesterday because I was in Omaha, Nebraska, and I was at a meeting, and right across the street was a school, and all the kids, the school bell rang at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The kids are all running out. They're happy. They're running around. These are, 10 and 12-year-old kids. And it's like, I haven't seen that in a year. But why in the world can't the school, if the schools in Nebraska are open, they've had no people getting sick, virtually none. I mean, some kids get the flu and things like that. That's just normal thing. Almost no teachers have had problems. And yet in Illinois, here we are this is March. This is a year, and we still have the schools shut. What's your situation there?
Okay. Well, K through 5 went back, and then 6th through 8th graders. No, 2 days a week. It's ridiculous. And then 8th graders go back next week, 6th through 8th graders. And high schoolers, there's not. They say they're going to think about it and have discussions, but we're not going back this year.
Well, that's Chicago. That's Chicago. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, the message I wanted to relate to you is you're not normal there. And I mean, most states are back open. Most schools are back open. Why not Illinois? Why not New York? It's because you have bad leadership. You have bad
the unions.
Well, it's more than the unions, isn't it, Steve? I mean, part of what we've seen happen over the last year as the data comes rolling in is the states haven't taken the hit in tax revenues that they projected they would. More modeling that was off. And many states haven't taken any hit whatsoever. In addition to that, many families haven't taken any hit. In fact, they've seen their household income go up because of all of the government funding money.
Yeah, right. And that's created this illusion of prosperity. But the thing that was interesting about going to these red states was that people in those states are happy. They're happy. The kids are happy. That people, when I go to New York, Illinois, I mean, people are grimacing. They're angry. And why not? They haven't been able to get out and do things. And it's really almost a cultural change when you move to this. I mean, Florida. I'm going to Florida tomorrow. Florida's completely open for business. The only way you'd even know that there's a pandemic is that people do social distance and they do wear masks, but life goes on. The beaches are open, the schools are open, the restaurants are open, the bars are open. And again, I just keep asking this question. And by the way, Florida has a lower death rate than Illinois does. So somebody explain to me why we're shutting down everything.
So with respect to the 1.9 trillion, which is pending, give us your take on what this would mean at macro level per the research that you and Casey Mulligan did, because I don't want to overstate the case, because there's never a need to overstate the case when it comes to leftist policies. You just have to state the case. The benefit levels we just talked about, And this is not to say, people find more satisfaction than just monetary satisfaction from working. So people will still go back to work. But what it will be, I think, and I think your study confirms this, is the same thing we saw coming out of the Great Recession, that the wild government spending actually inhibits the recovery, inhibits people going back to work. So they ultimately will, but as long as they can make it make more sense to not work than to work, they will as well.
Well, so you don't even have to go back to the Great Recession. We saw this, remember, late last summer when the virus went into a kind of remission, and so things got opened up again around the country for a few months. And you had this situation which you're going to see in April, May, and June of this year, which is you had businesses opening up. You still had 20 million unemployed people, Dan, but guess what? Everywhere you went, you saw help wanted signs. So what I'm telling you, I mean, I guarantee this is going to happen in Illinois and Massachusetts and New York and every state around the country. You're going to have businesses reopening, and they're not going to be able to get the workers back on the job. And the liberals here in Washington, that's okay. They could just pay these people $25 or $30 an hour, and they'll get them back on the job. That's part of their, they're forcing businesses to raise their wages. What these politicians don't understand, because they've never run a business, that's why they're politicians. The small business can't afford to do that. Walmart may be able to afford to do it. Target may be able to afford to do it. Goldman Sachs may be able to do it, but not a small business with 4 or 5 employees. They don't have the revenues to be able to jack up their prices and their wages. And so you're going to have a big problem. It's going to kill small businesses.
So one of the things that we may see coming out of this, I know there's all this exuberance for economies to reopen, and everybody's celebrating Texas and Mississippi's announcements yesterday. But we may find that most of us underestimated the damage we inflicted on ourselves, and so we may not see the sort of recovery that we thought. In point of fact, things may be a lot worse trying to recuperate than anticipated by many.
So my prediction is, I have a slightly different take on it, not entirely though. I think the rest of this year is going to be blockbuster. I mean, it's going to be blowout. We're going to see huge growth. People haven't been able to get out for 10 months. They haven't been able to travel. They haven't been able to go to movies. They haven't been able to restaurants. So I do think the second half of this year is going to be awesome. And it's not because of Biden's policy, it's because of the vaccine. But what troubles me, Dan, is I think 2022, 23, I mean, the cost of this is going to be felt for years and years and decades. Mm-hmm. Decades. I mean, decades. Seriously. I mean, our grandkids are going to pay for this, for this stupid $2 trillion spending bill, which, by the way, 22 governors said they don't want the money. Did you see that?
Yeah.
22 governors. I mean, we're giving people money and they don't even want it. That's how crazy it is in Washington these days, folks.
Well, I mean, Steve, so speak to this a little bit more, because I agree with you. And there's a lot of concern right now, even within the industry, and this is an industry that's known for, propagandizing exuberance, the real estate industry, particularly residential, because of these housing markets that are on fire. But people are over exuberant about a stock market that continues to go up with really no reason other than being other than modern monetary theory.
But cheap money,
Yeah, and the increasing household incomes, which you just said, sort of fleeting enrichment. And so they're buying homes $100,000 more than maybe they should be. For example, they're buying $100,000 more homes. So in a sense, we see a bubble being reblown up, and very few lessons learned from the Great Recession.
Right. I agree with you entirely. We are building up a bubble economy. If you ask people, what do you think about this stimulus bill? I was sort of demoralized. I mean, I think the approval rating for this bill is like 60%. Well, why is that? Well, if you come knocking on my door and say, do you want $2,000? Sure. Yeah, wonderful. How about $3,000, $4,000, $5,000? Of course people want free money. And we're all acting. I'm kind of depressed that Americans are buying into this, that, gee, we can just have helicopters drop money out of the windows and everybody's going to get rich. And that's why a lot of people say they support this bill, because they think, gee, yeah, sure, I'd love $2,000. It's like winning the lottery, right? But you have to as Milton Friedman taught us, the government can only give you, Dan Prof, $1,000 by taking $1,000 from me. There's not some kind of pixie dust out there. And so I do think you're seeing an international exuberance. You're seeing a massive increase in spending this year. But, boy, we should have learned this lesson. When it crashes, it crashes. One other quick thing. I have 3 very good friends who are major donors to my group that are very, very wealthy, and they all live in Illinois. And all 3 of them, within the last 6 weeks, have called me and said, I bought a place in Naples. I bought a place in Palm Beach. I bought a place in Fort Lauderdale. I bought a place in Vero Beach. That you in Florida right now, you can't buy a house. You have to. The real estate agents are literally knocking on people's doors in Florida saying, "Would you sell your house?" There is no inventory left. The exodus out of Illinois, Massachusetts, New York, Connecticut is something I've never seen before, and it's accelerating. It's accelerating. Illinois better get its finances in order, better get those taxes down, better get serious about competitiveness, or that state is going down the drain. You're losing your most productive job creators in the state. I mean, I think, why aren't the alarms going off?
Steve Moore, economist, Wall Street Journal columnist, Trumponomics author. Steve, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Okay, guys. Stay safe. Bye.
Thanks. Stay sane. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Is your kitchen needy?
Call Crumweedy.
Hi, it's Amy Jacobson for Crumweedy Home Pros. Do you like your kitchen layout, but it's outdated? Crumweedy Home Pros can give your kitchen a facelift and make it look fantastic for 1/3 of the cost of a complete kitchen remodel. Cabinet restyling is the way to go. There are tons of options to choose from colors to hardware style and functionality, as well as new countertops and backsplash. In 1 to 3 days, your kitchen can get the Crumweedy Home Pros kitchen facelift. It's simple.
Call Crumweedy.
Set up an appointment and get a great kitchen. And if you need a good deal, here it is. Installation is half price and 25 months no interest. One more time, installation, half price, and 25 months no interest. Kitchen is needy?
Call Crumweedy.
630-595